The mountains of Kandahar held their breath. Dust hung suspended in the air like a curtain between the living and the dead. The kind of silence that comes after gunfire, when ears still ring and hearts still hammer against ribs, when every soldier knows someone didn't make it, but nobody wants to count the bodies yet. Sergeant Maya Reeves moved through that silence like a shadow with purpose. Her boots made no sound on the broken concrete. M4 carbine swept left, then right, barrel following her eyes. Muscle memory carved from 10,000 repetitions in shoot houses and kill zones. She didn't think anymore when she moved through danger. Thinking got people killed. Training kept them breathing. The compound sprawled ahead, half collapsed from the firefight. Smoke ribboned up from a crater where the IED had detonated 60 seconds earlier. Somewhere in that wreckage, Staff Sergeant Derek Kane was either alive or he wasn't. Either way, she was going in. 300 meters behind her, the rest of the squad held position, waiting, watching, trusting her to do what she always did. Come back with everyone, or come back with proof they tried. She cleared the doorway. Flash of movement, left corner. Her finger kissed the trigger, held. Civilian fabric, not combatant. Woman and child, pressed against the wall, eyes wide with terror that needed no translation. Maya lowered her weapon half an inch, nodded once. The woman didn't move. Smart. Maya kept moving. Second room, third. Blood trail leading deeper into the structure. Not a spray, a drag. Someone wounded, someone crawling. She followed it like a thread through a maze of shattered furniture and spent brass casings. Fourth room. There. Derek Kane lay on his back, chest not moving, face gray beneath the dust and blood. Tourniquet on his left thigh, applied by his own shaking hands before consciousness left him. Good training, might be enough, might not. Maya dropped to her knees beside him, fingers already on his throat. Pulse, faint, irregular, not breathing. She tilted his head back, checked airway. Clear. 2 fingers beneath the jaw, other hand on his forehead. Textbook, head tilt, chin lift, because textbooks were written in blood. 30 compressions. Hard and fast, elbows locked, shoulders over sternum. The human rib cage wasn't designed for this kind of violence, but death cared even less about design than she did. 1, 2, 3, 4. Counting in her head while her ears tracked footsteps outside, voices in Pashto, the crackle of radio static from her shoulder mount. 28, 29, 30. 2 breaths. Mouth to mouth with a man she'd rejected 3 times in as many weeks. Irony had no place in a combat zone, but it showed up anyway. His lips tasted like copper and dust. She breathed life into lungs that had forgotten how to take it. Back to compressions. Her shoulders burned. Word ran into her eyes. She blinked it away and kept the rhythm. Staying alive was just another drill. You practiced until your body did it without permission from your brain. 15 seconds. 30 seconds. 45. His chest hitched. Once. Twice. Coughing, wet and ugly, the most beautiful sound in any language. Air rushing back into a body that had briefly touched the other side. Derek's eyes opened. Unfocused, confused, but open. He saw her face above him, her hands still on his chest, and something flickered in those eyes that wasn't just gratitude. She'd seen that look before, on different faces, in different contexts. The look of a man who just decided he was owed something. Maya pulled back, keyed her radio. Casualty secure, need extract, compound 4, northwest corner. Her voice flat, professional, empty of everything she just felt. Because feelings didn't belong in after-action reports. Derek's hand caught her wrist. Weak grip, but insistent. His voice came out shredded, barely above a whisper. I owe you my life. She looked at his hand on her wrist, looked at his face, saw past the gratitude to the calculation already forming behind it. Some men couldn't accept being saved by a woman. They had to reframe it, rewrite it, Turn rescue into debt and debt into leverage. She pulled her wrist free, gentle but absolute. "You don't owe me anything, Staff Sergeant. Just doing my job." His jaw tightened. Just for a second. Just long enough for her to catalog it, file it away, remember it for later. The extract team arrived 4 minutes later. They loaded Derek onto a stretcher, started an IV, called ahead to the field hospital. Maya walked point on the way out, eyes forward, weapon ready, mind already moving past the save to the next potential threat. Behind her, Derek watched her back. Not the way teammates watched each other, the way hunters watch prey that got away. Something had been planted in that room. Something that would take 2 years to grow, to spread roots, to wrap around foundations until it was strong enough to strangle. But Maya Reeves didn't know that yet. She just knew her job. Get everyone home, file the report, run the drills, stay ready, stay untouchable. The transport Chinook lifted off from Kandahar with the sound of a mechanical heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. Rotors chopping air into submission. Inside, Derek lay strapped to his litter, IV bag swaying with the movement, medic checking vitals every 90 seconds. Maya sat against the far bulkhead, weapon across her lap, eyes on the open-door gunner's position. Still on mission, still ready. The bird could take fire any second until they crossed back into friendly airspace. Relaxing early got people killed. Across from her, Derek's eyes tracked her. She felt it without looking. The weight of attention, the pressure of expectation. She'd felt it before from other men, in other places. The military didn't invent that particular hunger, just gave it uniforms and rank structure. She didn't look back, didn't need to. The message sent itself through absence. 12 hours later, she filed her report at the TOC, Temporary Operations Center. Typed it herself, detail by detail. Compound breach, casualty located, CPR administered, vitals restored, extract successful. No editorializing, no emotion, just facts that could be verified by 3 other witnesses and 1 body camera that had kept recording through the whole thing. The commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Morrison, reviewed it standing up. He was 46, career infantry, 2 divorces deep, face like tanned leather left in the sun too long. He read slowly, lips moving slightly, then looked up at her. "Good work, Reeves." She nodded once. "Just doing my job, sir." He studied her face, looking for something. Pride, maybe. Satisfaction. The kind of glow that came from being called a hero. He wouldn't find it. Maya had learned a long time ago that seeking approval from men in authority was how you gave them power over you. "Kane's going to be fine. Flew out to Landstuhl an hour ago. Should make a full recovery." "Good to hear, sir." Morrison waited. When she didn't elaborate, didn't smile, didn't perform the expected gratitude for his gratitude, something shifted in his expression. Not quite irritation, more like puzzlement. Women in his experience had a script. Maya kept going off book. He dismissed her. She saluted, turned, walked out. Behind her, she heard him mutter something to his aide. Couldn't make out the words, didn't need to. Tone said enough. The next 3 weeks, the deployment ground on. Missions, debriefs, maintenance, sleep, repeat. Maya ran the same loops she always ran. Up at 0430, 200 pull-ups before breakfast. Weapons check, mission brief, execute, return, debrief, sleep. The rhythm of discipline that kept chaos at a manageable distance. Derek returned to light duty after 10 days. Legs still healing but mobile. He showed up at the chow hall, at the gym, at the TOC. And everywhere he showed up, his eyes found her. Not staring, that would be too obvious, too actionable, just present, aware, tracking her movements like a sniper tracks wind direction, gathering data. He tried conversation first. "Hey Reeves, grabbing coffee after this brief?" "No thank you, Staff Sergeant." Her voice polite, flat, a door closed so smoothly you couldn't hear the lock engage. He smiled, nodded, walked away. But she saw his shoulders tighten, saw his hand flex once. Involuntary. Strike one. 3 days later, at the gym, she was finishing her last set of deadlifts, 305 pounds coming up smooth, controlled, her breathing steady despite the burn in her hamstrings and lower back. When she racked the bar, Derek was there, towel over his shoulder, smile easy. Strong as hell. You ever think about competing? I know a guy who runs powerlifting circuits stateside. I appreciate it, but I'm good. Come on, just thinking you could make some money. Use those genetics. The word genetics landed different than he probably intended. Or maybe exactly as intended. Hard to tell with men like Derek. They learned early how to coat poison in compliment. Not interested, but thank you. She walked past him to the water fountain. When she came back, he was still there, smile faded at the edges. You're hard to talk to, you know that? She looked at him, really looked, for the first time since pulling him back from the edge, saw past the charm in the easy grin to the thing underneath. The need, the entitlement. Some lieutenant's birthday, cake in the rec room, everyone gathered because presence was strongly encouraged. They formed a loose semicircle, not blocking her in, but close enough. Reeves, Derek's voice friendly, casual. We're hitting a spot-off base this weekend. Carter's place, you know it? I don't. House about 10 minutes out, low-key, just the team. You should come. I'm good, thank you, though. She moved to step past. Derek shifted, not blocking, just narrowing the gap. Friendly obstacle. Come on, one beer. You saved my life. Let me buy you a drink. There it was. The debt, reframed as invitation. The life saved, transformed into social currency she was supposed to spend. I don't need you to buy me a drink, Staff Sergeant. And I didn't save your life so you'd owe me one. I did it because it's my job. The words landed clean, polite, absolute. No room for negotiation, no crack for leverage to slip through. Derek's smile stayed in place, but his eyes went flat. The other two shifted weight, exchanged glances. Maya watched all of it. Peripheral vision tracking body language. Threat assessment automatic as breathing. All right, your loss. He turned, walked away. The other two followed, but before they rounded the corner, she heard Jake mutter something. Derek's response, low and hard. She thinks she's better than everyone here. Maya stood alone by the wall, paper plate in hand, half-eaten cake turning to paste in her mouth. Around her, the party continued. Laughter, music, people performing the theater of camaraderie. But something had changed. Some invisible line had been crossed. She felt it the way animals feel weather shifting before storms arrive. Strike three. And in baseball, that meant you were out. But this wasn't baseball. This was something older, something meaner, something that didn't stop at 3 strikes. This was the beginning of men convincing themselves they'd been wronged. And wronged men, in groups, behind closed doors, became something worse than wrong. They became dangerous. 2 months later, back stateside, Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, San Diego, California, December 2024. Palm trees swaying in offshore wind, sun bright enough to bleach bone, temperatures hovering at 72 degrees while the rest of the country froze. Paradise if you ignored the weapons ranges and kill houses, and men learning 100 ways to end human life efficiently. Maya's quarters, Barracks 3, second floor, end of the hall. 60 square feet, single bed, footlocker, small desk. No photos on the walls. No personal items visible except a battered paperback, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, spine cracked from repeated reading. She sat on the edge of her bed at 0400, lacing her running shoes. Outside, still dark. Most of the base asleep except watchstanders and insomniacs. This was her time. The hour before the world woke up and demanded things. Shoes tied, she stood, stretched, walked to the door. Stopped. Something felt wrong. Not wrong like danger, wrong like being watched. The prickle at the base of her skull, ancient wiring from when humans were prey, and noticing details meant living another day. She turned, scanned her room. Everything exactly where she'd left it. Bed made with hospital corners, desk clear except the book, footlocker closed, padlock in place. But the book. She'd left it face down, open to page 87. Now it was face up, bookmark inserted. Someone had moved it. Not much, just enough. Maya crossed to the desk, picked up the book, examined it. No damage, no note, just moved. A message without words. I was here, I can get in. Nothing is private. She set the book down exactly as she'd originally left it. Face down, open, page 87 visible. Then she pulled a single hair from her head, licked one end, pressed it across the door frame at ankle height. Old trick, simple, effective. If someone entered while she was gone, the hair would fall, and she'd know. Then she left for her run. 200 pull-ups at the outdoor bar near the obstacle course. 40 sets of 5, 90-second rest between sets. Her hands chalked, grip solid, body rising and falling with mechanical precision. Up, chin over bar, pause, down, arms straight, repeat. Other early risers showed up around set 20, mostly men. A few nodded, most ignored her. One, specialist Ryan Webb, stopped to watch for a full set before moving on. She didn't acknowledge him, didn't need to, but she remembered his face, added it to the catalog. Because Ryan ran with Derek's crew, and Derek's crew had been orbiting her closer these past few weeks. At 05:30, she finished her last rep, dropped from the bar, shook out her arms. The sky had shifted from black to deep blue, stars fading, dawn threatening the eastern horizon. She ran 6 miles. Not fast, not slow. Steady pace, controlled breathing, mind clear. Running wasn't about fitness for Maya. Fitness was a side effect. Running was about proving every single morning that her body obeyed her commands, that she controlled the machine, that she could push through discomfort into discipline. Because discipline was the only thing that stood between her and the past. She never talked about the past. Not to the mandated therapist after her initial psych eval. Not to the chaplain who tried once to connect. Not to the one friend she'd had in boot camp who'd asked why Maya never dated, never drank, never let her guard down. The past was sealed, locked, buried under 10 years of training and 2 deployments and 3,000 hours of hand-to-hand combat drills. But sometimes, in the space between sleep and waking, it surfaced anyway. 16 years old, house party, boyfriends she'd trusted, his 2 friends she'd met twice, music too loud, drink in her hand she'd set down, picked back up, didn't notice the color had changed slightly, the room tilting, laughter sounding wrong, hands on her shoulders guiding her upstairs. 3 of them, one of her, and the worst part, the part that still burned, she hadn't fought, hadn't screamed, hadn't clawed, hadn't done anything except freeze, body shutting down, mind fragmenting, some animal instinct telling her to go limp and maybe they'd lose interest. They hadn't lost interest. And afterward, when she'd finally told her parents, when the police came, when the questions started, everyone wanted to know the same thing. Why didn't you fight? Why didn't you scream? If you didn't want it, why didn't you do something? As if terror had a protocol, as if trauma followed logic. The case went nowhere. Her boyfriend's father was a lawyer. His friend's parents had money. She was 16, drunk at a party she shouldn't have been at, wearing clothes they implied meant something. The system that was supposed to protect her instead asked her to prove she hadn't wanted it. She couldn't prove it, not in ways that mattered to people who'd already decided. So she learned a different lesson. The system wouldn't save her. Other people wouldn't save her. If she wanted to be safe, she had to become dangerous. 18 years old, she enlisted. 19, she finished basic. 20, She volunteered for combat training. 22, she passed the screening for special operations. Every year, every test, every crucible, she chose the harder path. Not because she loved the military, because she loved the person the military was forcing her to become. Someone who could fight back. Someone who would never freeze again. Someone untouchable. Maya returned to her quarters at 0600, showered, changed. When she opened her door, the hair was gone. Fallen. Disturbed. Someone had been inside. She entered slowly, eyes scanning. Nothing obviously moved this time, but she checked anyway. Footlocker, still locked. Desk, still clear. Bed, still made. Then she saw it. Small, easy to miss. Resting on her pillow, a single spent 9mm casing. Brass, recently fired, carbon scoring still visible around the primer. No note, no explanation, just the casing. Message received. We have access. We have weapons. We're watching. Maya picked it up, examined it, set it on her desk next to the book. Then she pulled out her phone, opened the encrypted app she'd installed months ago, and started a new recording. December 15th, 0600. Second intrusion confirmed. Evidence suggests escalation. Beginning active documentation. She photographed the casing from 3 angles, photographed the broken hair, photographed her room from the doorway. Then she went to breakfast like nothing had happened, because showing fear was giving them what they wanted. And Maya Reeves had stopped giving men what they wanted a long time ago. The mess hall buzzed with morning chaos, trays clattering, voices overlapping, the smell of powdered eggs and burnt coffee thick enough to taste. Maya filled her tray, protein and vegetables, no processed carbs, same meal she ate every morning. Discipline extended to diet. Your body was a weapon. You didn't fuel weapons with garbage. She found a seat alone, back to the wall, facing the entrance. Old habit, never sit where you can't see who's coming. 3 bites into her meal, Derek sat down across from her. Not next to her, where it might seem friendly, directly across, where it forced eye contact, where leaving required excusing herself past him. Territorial positioning, subtle dominance play. Morning, Reeves, Staff Sergeant. She kept eating, didn't look up, didn't engage. Gray rock technique, learned from a book on dealing with narcissists. Be boring. Be unreactive. Give them nothing to work with. Heard you're up for a deployment slot. Spring rotation. News travels. It does. He leaned forward slightly. I put in for the same slot. Her fork paused. Just for a second, then continued to her mouth. She chewed, swallowed, still didn't look at him. That's your choice. Could be good, working together again, like old times. We've never worked together, Staff Sergeant. You were a casualty I stabilized. That's not working together. Direct, clean, no room for reinterpretation. She'd learned to speak like this over years of men trying to rewrite history, trying to turn professional interactions into personal connections. Derek's smile thinned. Right, just doing your job. Yes. He watched her eat. She felt his eyes tracking the movement of her fork, the rhythm of her chewing, performance of patience. But underneath, calculation. She could see it in the way his fingers drummed once against the table. Frustration, masked as casual. You know, Reeves, people talk. People always talk. They say you're hard to get to know. I'm not here to be known. I'm here to do my job. Must get lonely. She looked up then, met his eyes, saw past the concerned facade to the probe underneath. He was testing, pushing, looking for cracks. I'm not lonely, Staff Sergeant. I'm focused. There's a difference. His jaw tightened. There, the tell, the micro flash of anger before the smile reasserted itself. All right, just trying to be friendly. I appreciate the effort. She stood, tray in hand. He didn't move, didn't stand, didn't make space. She had to angle past him, careful not to touch. He made sure of that, made sure she had to navigate around him. Power games, tiny ones, the kind that built up over time. She walked her tray to the return window, scraped her plate, stacked it properly. When she turned, Derek was still watching, and now Jake and Lucas had joined him, sliding into seats with their own trays. All three tracked her exit. She felt their eyes like heat lamps. Didn't react, didn't hurry, just walked with the same measured pace she always used. But her heart rate ticked up 5 beats per minute, and her hands wanted to curl into fists. Outside, the California sun hit like a spotlight. She pulled on sunglasses, oriented toward the training compound. Her shift didn't start for 2 hours, but showing up early was built into her operating system now. Movement, left peripheral. She turned her head slightly. Ryan Webb, the one who'd watched her pull-ups, leaning against a building 20 meters away. Cigarette in hand, smoke curling. Not looking at her, but positioned where he could see her, track her route, surveillance. Amateur, but present. Maya adjusted course slightly, angling toward the main road instead of the shortcut through the barracks. Changed her pattern, made them work harder to predict her. Because if someone was watching, that meant someone was planning. And plans, in her experience, only went 2 directions. Either they gave up, or they escalated. She was betting on escalation. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. She almost deleted it reflexively, stopped, opened it. The message was 3 words: "We need to talk." No signature, no context. Could be spam, could be wrong number, could be something else. She screened the number, came back as another baseline, military exchange. Someone internal. Maya didn't respond. Instead, she screenshotted the message, added it to her encrypted folder, marked it with timestamp and location data. Building a case, one piece at a time. Because if this went where she thought it might go, she'd need evidence. The kind that couldn't be dismissed. The kind that forced action. 30 minutes later, her phone rang. Same number. She let it go to voicemail. Waited. The voicemail notification appeared. She listened. Female voice, young, shaking slightly. "Sergeant Reeves? My name is Emma Rodriguez. I'm a private, supply division. I need to talk to you. It's about Staff Sergeant Kane. Please, I can't go through official channels. They won't believe me, but I think you'll understand." The message ended. Maya played it twice more, listening for deception, for manipulation, for anything that suggested trap. Found none. Just fear. Real fear. The kind that came from experience, not performance. She saved the voicemail, added it to her evidence folder, then called back. Emma answered on the first ring. "Sergeant Reeves, this is she. You said you need to talk about Staff Sergeant Kane." "Yes." A pause. Breathing, unsteady. Not on the phone. "Can we meet somewhere? Somewhere off base?" "Why off base?" "Because I don't know who else is involved, and I can't risk being seen talking to you." Maya's pulse ticked up another notch. "When you say involved, what are we talking about?" Silence. Then, quiet, almost a whisper. "He did something to me 6 months ago, and I think he's done it before, and I think he's planning to do it again." The world contracted. Sounds faded. Vision tunneled. Maya's training kicked in, forcing her breathing to stay steady, her voice to stay level. "Where and when?" "There's a coffee shop, the Grindhouse, off Orange Avenue. Tonight, 1900 hours. I'll be in the back corner. I'll be there." The call ended. Maya stood in the middle of the sidewalk, sun beating down, people moving around her like water around stone. 6 months ago, he did something to me. The past surfaced. 16 years old, frozen, helpless. Then the present reasserted. 28 years old, trained, ready. Never again. Not to her. And if she could help it, not to anyone else either. She checked her watch. 12 hours until the meeting. 12 hours to prepare, to observe, to plan. Because if Derek Kane had done what Emma was about to describe, then everything changed. This wasn't about rejection anymore. This was about predation, and predators didn't stop until someone stopped them. Maya Reeves had spent 10 years learning how to stop things. Tonight, she'd find out if she needed to use it. The Grindhouse sat 3 blocks off Orange Avenue, tucked between a vintage clothing store and a tattoo parlor that had been there since the 70s. The kind of coffee shop that catered to locals, not tourists. Exposed brick walls, mismatched furniture, baristas with sleeve tattoos and semester-long literature degrees they'd never use. Maya arrived at 1845, 15 minutes early, always. She ordered black coffee, no sugar, found a seat with clear sight lines to both entrances and the bathroom hallway. Back against the wall, exits mapped, threat assessment automatic as breathing. The evening crowd thinned out around her. College students packing laptops, couples on mediocre first dates, one old man reading a newspaper like the internet hadn't been invented yet. Normal. Civilian. The kind of normal Maya had stopped understanding years ago. At 1858, the door opened. A young woman entered, early 20s, brown hair pulled back tight, eyes scanning the room with the jerky paranoia of someone who'd learned to expect ambush. She wore civilian clothes, jeans and an oversized sweatshirt, but her posture screamed military. Shoulders back, spine straight, movements economical. Private Emma Rodriguez. Their eyes met. Recognition instant. Emma crossed to Maya's table, sat down without ordering, hands folded in her lap, knuckles white, breathing controlled but shallow, fight or flight response barely contained. Maya gave her 10 seconds to settle, then spoke quietly. "Thank you for reaching out." Emma nodded, didn't speak yet. Maya waited. Silence was a tool. You gave people space, they filled it, sometimes with truth. 6 months ago, Emma's voice came out steady, practiced, like she'd rehearsed this. "There was a party, off base, Carter's place. You know it?" "I've heard of it. I went because it was supposed to be just our unit. Morale thing. I thought it would be safe." Emma's jaw tightened. "I was wrong." Maya said nothing. Let her continue. "Derek was there, Staff Sergeant Kane. He offered me a drink, seemed friendly, professional. I took it." She paused, her hands unfolded, refolded. "I don't remember much after that, just pieces. Being upstairs, door locked, hands on me, camera flash, 4, maybe 5 guys, and Derek's voice saying, 'Nobody will believe you anyway.'" The coffee shop sounds faded. Maya's vision narrowed to Emma's face. Reading micro-expressions, cataloging details, pupil dilation, facial muscle tension, respiratory rate, all consistent with trauma recall. Not deception, not exaggeration, truth. "When I woke up, I was in a bedroom I didn't recognize. Clothes wrong, body wrong, phone gone. I found it later in my barracks. Someone had put it back. But there were texts on it I didn't send. To Derek, thanking him for a good time." "Cover story," Maya said quietly. Emma nodded. "I went to my squad leader. He told me I just had too much to drink, that I should be more careful at parties. I went to the base clinic. They said without a kit done immediately, there was no evidence. I went to JAG. They said without witnesses or physical evidence, it was my word against a decorated staff sergeant's. And your word wasn't enough. My word was nothing." Emma's voice cracked slightly, then hardened. 2 weeks later, I got transferred. Different unit, different shift schedule. Told it was for my own good. To get a fresh start. Translation, get you away from the problem without addressing the problem. Exactly. Emma leaned forward slightly. "But here's the thing. I started asking around, quietly, and I found 2 other women. Same story, same party location, same time frame, different dates. Same response from command. All 3 of us transferred, scattered, silenced. Pattern of behavior," Maya said. "Systematic. And it's still happening." Emma pulled her phone out, unlocked it, slid it across the table. On the screen, a text thread. Derek to an unknown number. Saturday night, Carter's. Bring the new girl from communications. The quiet one. When was this sent? Yesterday. Maya photographed the screen with her own phone, returned Emma's device. The new girl from communications. You know who that is? Emma nodded. PFC Sarah Chen, 22, just transferred in from Pensacola. Smart, keeps to herself, doesn't drink much, exactly the profile they look for. They, how many are we talking about? At minimum, Derek, Jake Morris, Lucas Chen, and Ryan Webb. Maybe more. It's hard to tell who's active participant versus who just looks the other way. Maya absorbed this. 4 confirmed, possibly more. Operating for at least 6 months, probably longer. With institutional protection, intentional or negligent. Why come to me? She asked. Because you're the only person on this base who Derek Kane can't control. Emma's eyes were steady now, fear burned away by something harder. You embarrassed him in Kandahar. You reject him here. Everyone sees it. And from what I've heard, you don't care about being liked. You care about being right. That's a kind assessment. It's an accurate one. Emma paused. Also, I saw your background. Before you enlisted, the court case that went nowhere. Maya's expression didn't change, but something cold settled in her chest. That sealed juvenile record. It is, but I have a friend who's good with computers, and I needed to know if I could trust you. Emma's voice softened. I'm sorry for invading your privacy, but I had to know you'd understand. Understand what? That the system protects them, not us. And if we want justice, we have to make it ourselves. The coffee shop sounds returned gradually, espresso machine hissing, indie folk music at low volume. Couple at the next table arguing about whose turn it was to do dishes. Normal people problems. A different universe. What do you want from me? Maya asked. Help me stop him. Emma's voice was quiet steel. I can't do it alone. I tried. But you're different. You have credibility, skills. And I think if anyone can catch him in the act, document it, make it undeniable, it's you. You're asking me to put myself in the same situation those women were in. I'm asking you to be the weapon I wasn't. Silence stretched between them. Outside, streetlights flickered on, dusk settling over San Diego like a shroud. Maya thought about the spent casing on her pillow, the moved book, the eyes tracking her movements. Derek was already escalating, already circling. The question wasn't whether he'd make a move, the question was when, and whether she'd be ready. Tell me about the house, she said. Layout, security, how many people usually there? Emma's shoulders dropped half an inch. Relief. She pulled out a folded piece of paper, smoothed it on the table. A hand-drawn floor plan. Carter rotates between 3 rental properties. This weekend it's 4,247 Maple Grove Court. 2-story colonial. Living room and kitchen downstairs, 4 bedrooms upstairs. She looked up. No security cameras outside, but I can fix that. How? I've been learning. Computer systems, network access. Emma's voice gained confidence. I found someone who teaches cybersecurity at community college. Told her I was interested in digital forensics. She's been showing me things. Packet sniffing, man-in-the-middle attacks. If I can get into their Wi-Fi, I can access any phones on the network, including cameras. You can live stream what they record. Better, I can intercept and duplicate the stream before they even save it. They film their crimes for insurance. I can make sure their insurance becomes their conviction. Maya studied the floor plan, noted exits, choke points, blind corners. Tactical assessment overlaying floor plan like transparencies. When's the next party? Saturday. 4 days from now. And you think they'll target this Sarah Chen? I know they will. The text said so. Unless we get there first. Maya looked up. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Teach me how to access their network. And get me Sarah Chen's schedule. If they're planning to drug her, I need to make sure she never drinks what they give her. You're going to substitute yourself. I'm going to give them exactly what they think they want. Then I'm going to make them regret every decision that led them to that room." Emma stared at her, processing, then slowly nodded. "You understand this could end your career. Even if you're right, even if you prove it, the Navy doesn't like people who make waves, especially women. My career ends the moment I decided to care more about being right than being liked." Maya finished her coffee, set the cup down with precision. "Question is whether I go out quietly or I take the rot with me. What do you need me to do?" "Everything I tell you. Exactly as I tell you. No improvisation, no heroics. Your support, not assault." "Understood." "And Emma," Maya's voice dropped, "if this goes wrong, if they hurt me before I can stop them, you make sure that evidence gets everywhere. News outlets, senator's office, social media, every corner of the internet. Scorch the earth." Emma's hand trembled slightly as she reached across the table. Maya took it. Firm grip, combat handshake. "They won't hurt you," Emma said, "because you're going to hurt them first. That's the plan." They separated 20 minutes later. Different exits, different directions, different routes home. Maya walked 4 blocks, doubled back twice, confirmed no tail, then caught a rideshare back to base. In the back seat, she pulled out her phone, opened the encrypted folder, began drafting a document. Timeline, participants, evidence collected so far, testimony from Emma, screenshots, photos. If she died Saturday night, this would be her testament. Digital ghost testifying from beyond. But she wasn't planning to die. She was planning to survive long enough to make them wish they'd never been born. The next 4 days moved like combat deployment. Hurry up and wait, then sudden action, then waiting again. Maya ran her normal routines. PT at 4:30, pull-ups, running, weights, breakfast alone, work detail, weapons maintenance, administrative tasks. Everything the same, no deviation that would signal awareness. But underneath the routine, preparation. She started taking activated charcoal tablets with every meal, built up her system's tolerance for filtering toxins. Not foolproof, but better odds. Researched common date rape drugs, Rohypnol, GHB, ketamine. Studied their effects, their metabolic half-lives, their interactions with counteragents. Visited the base pharmacy. Told them she was doing a research project on combat medicine. Needed information on naloxone, flumazenil, emergency reversal agents. Got printouts, studied them, memorized dosages. Wednesday afternoon, Emma sent her a text. Single word. Done. Maya met her in the parking lot of a grocery store off base. Emma handed her a smartphone, prepaid, untraceable. This is connected to their network. Not actively, just configured to connect when you're in range. Once you're inside the house, it'll auto-sync. Everything their phones record, this records. And you'll have access? Real time. I'll be in my car 2 blocks away. Laptop, hotspot, full setup. If something goes wrong, I call the police. If something goes wrong and you call the police, I'll probably already be dead. Better plan is you make sure nothing goes wrong. Emma's face was pale but determined. I won't let you down. I know. That's why I chose you. Thursday, Maya did reconnaissance. Emma had provided detailed intel. Carter cycled between 3 rental properties to avoid patterns. This weekend's location was 4247 Maple Grove Court, a 2-story colonial at the end of a cul-de-sac. Maya drove past twice, noted approach angles, street parking, neighbors' sightlines. The house backed up to a drainage easement, privacy, isolation, chosen specifically for what it enabled. Emma had been thorough. Property records showed Carter rented under an LLC. Neighbors were mostly elderly, minded their own business. Perfect hunting ground. Friday night, Maya packed her preparation. Small items, easy to conceal. A tiny glass vial filled with ipecac syrup. Backup plan if the charcoal didn't work. Force purge the stomach. Another vial with caffeine pills crushed to powder. Counteract sedation. Both hidden in the lining of a small purse she never carried but would tomorrow. Her knuckles still bore calluses from heavy bag work. She examined them under the bathroom light. Weapons she'd carried her entire adult life, refined through thousands of hours of training. Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, boxing, wrestling. Every martial art that prioritized efficiency over aesthetics. Every technique that assumed your opponent was bigger, stronger, more aggressive. Every tool that turned disadvantage into advantage. She shadowboxed in her quarters. Slow motion, perfect form, elbow strikes, throat punches, eye gouges, groin kicks. The illegal moves in sport fighting, the essential ones in survival. Her body executed movements trained into instinct. In a fight, thinking got you hurt. Reacting kept you alive. Tomorrow night, she wouldn't think. She'd react. And 4 men would learn the difference between a woman who'd been broken once and a woman who'd rebuilt herself from shattered pieces into something sharp. Saturday arrived with cloudless sky and Santa Ana winds. Hot air blowing in from the desert, temperatures spiking to 85 even after sunset. The kind of night where people got stupid, drank too much, made decisions they'd regret. Perfect conditions for predators. Maya dressed carefully. Jeans, fitted but not tight. Running shoes, not heels. T-shirt, dark color, easy to move in. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. No jewelry, no makeup. Nothing that suggested she was trying. The purse with the vials went over her shoulder. Phone, regular and prepaid, both fully charged. Keys, ID, concealed knife, small ceramic blade that wouldn't set off metal detectors. Not that there'd be detectors, but habits died hard. She looked at herself in the mirror. 28 years old, 140 pounds, 5'7". By every physical metric, outmatched by the men who'd be in that house. But physical metrics didn't account for will, and her will had been forged in trauma and tempered in discipline. They thought she was prey. They were wrong. At 1800 hours, she texted Emma, "On my way." Response immediate, "I'm already in position. Stay safe." Maya drove her truck, older Ford Ranger, reliable and anonymous. Arrived at the neighborhood at 1845, parked 3 blocks away, walked the rest. The street was quiet, families inside eating dinner, TVs glowing through windows. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that 2 blocks over, men were preparing to commit felony assault. She approached the house from the side, used the overgrown hedges as concealment, scanned for security. No cameras visible, no motion lights, just porch light on, front door visible, sounds of music and voices inside. The party had already started. Maya circled to the front, walked up the steps like she belonged there, opened the door without knocking. Inside, 20, maybe 25 people, mix of military and civilians. Beer in hands, music at conversation volume, typical off-duty gathering. She stepped inside, let the door close behind her, and immediately the room noticed. Conversations didn't stop, but they stuttered. Heads turned, eyes tracked. She felt the attention like heat lamps. Knew half these people hadn't expected her. The other half had been told she was coming. Across the room near the kitchen entrance, Derek stood with Jake and Lucas. All 3 held beers. All 3 stared at her. Derek's face showed surprise for just a moment, then transformed into something else. Satisfaction, like a trap springing exactly as planned. He crossed the room toward her, smooth, confident, smiled that easy smile that had probably worked on 100 women who didn't know what lived behind it. "Reeves, didn't think you'd actually show." She met his eyes, didn't smile back. "You invited me. Here I am. Can I get you a drink?" "Sure." His eyebrows raised slightly. Surprise again. She never accepted drinks, never accepted anything. But tonight she would. Because tonight she needed him confident, Needed him to think the plan was working. He gestured toward the kitchen. After you. She walked ahead, felt him behind her. Close, not touching but present, claiming space. In the kitchen, bottles and red cups scattered across counters. He grabbed a cup, poured from a bottle of vodka, added cranberry juice from a jug. His back was to her for 3 seconds. 3 seconds where his hands moved, where something small could be added, where powder could dissolve into red liquid. He turned, handed her the cup, smiled. To new beginnings. She took it, raised it slightly in acknowledgement, brought it to her lips, and pretended to drink. The liquid touched her mouth but didn't pass her lips. Old trick. Tilt head, close throat, let it pool at your teeth, then lower the cup with liquid still inside. She grimaced slightly, like the alcohol was strong. Damn, what's the ratio here? Derek laughed. Little heavy on the vodka. You want me to fix it? No, I can handle it. She took another fake sip, watched his eyes watching her, saw the anticipation there, the calculation. He was waiting for the drug to hit, waiting for her pupils to dilate, her speech to slur, her coordination to fail. She'd give him 20 minutes, make him think it was working. Then she'd show him what happened when you hunted wolves. The next 15 minutes, Maya worked the room, moved from conversation to conversation, cup in hand, taking fake sips, playing the part. She laughed at a joke that wasn't funny, nodded at a story she wasn't listening to. Let her posture relax slightly, shoulders dropping, spine less rigid. Performance. Theater. Making them see what they expected. Around the 10-minute mark, she pretended to stumble slightly, caught herself on a counter, blinked slowly. Across the room, Derek noticed. He said something to Jake. Both watched her. At 12 minutes, she made her way toward the bathroom. Walking carefully, like someone compensating for impairment, she passed Ryan in the hallway. He stepped aside but watched her go. In the bathroom, door locked, she spit the accumulated liquid into the sink, rinsed her mouth, checked her eyes in the mirror. Pupils, normal. Coordination, normal. The activated charcoal she'd been taking all week would handle whatever trace amounts she'd actually ingested. She waited 3 minutes, flushed for sound, washed her hands. When she opened the door, Derek was there. Hey, you okay? You look a little out of it. Yeah, just. She touched her forehead. Dizzy. I think that drink hit harder than I expected. Come on, let's get you some air. There's a room upstairs, quieter. You can lie down for a minute. There it was. The lure. Gentle. Concerned. Exactly what Emma said he'd done. Maya let her expression show uncertainty. Maybe I should just head home. No, come on, just 10 minutes. You'll feel better. I'll get you some water. His hand touched her elbow. Light, guiding. She let him guide her. Toward the stairs. Up. Each step deliberate. She let her foot drag once, caught herself on the railing. Behind her, below, she heard footsteps. Look back. Jake and Lucas following, Ryan closing the front door. 4 men, 1 woman, stairs climbing to the 2nd floor, just like Emma described. At the top, hallway with 4 doors. Derek steered her toward the end, opened it. Bedroom inside, minimal furniture, bare mattress, 1 lamp. Staging area, not someone's actual room. Come on, lie down, you'll feel better. Maya stepped inside, heard the door close behind her, heard the lock click. She turned. All 4 of them inside now. Derek nearest the door, Jake by the dresser, Lucas near the window, Ryan pulling out his phone. Camera. Derek's smile changed, friendly facade dropping, something colder underneath. So, finally got you alone. Maya swayed slightly, blinked, let her words slur just a touch. What? I don't... Shh. Derek stepped closer. It's okay. Nobody's going to hurt you. We're just going to help you understand something. Understand what? That you're not untouchable. His hand reached for her shoulder. She let it land. Let his fingers curl into the fabric of her shirt. Let him think he'd won. Because predators always got sloppy right before the kill, and sloppy was when you struck. Derek's fingers tightened on her shirt, pulling her toward the bed, his other hand rising to push her shoulder. "This is happening," he said quietly, "and you're going to learn." Behind him, Jake moved closer. Lucas shifted position near her legs. Ryan's phone camera focused on her face. All four of them in position. All four of them committed. All four of them about to learn the most important lesson of their lives. You can't break what's already been broken and rebuilt into a weapon. Maya stopped swaying. Her eyes focused, locked onto Derek's face. And she smiled. Not friendly, not afraid. Cold. Predatory. The smile of someone who'd been waiting for exactly this moment. "Learn what?" she asked. Voice clear now, no slur, no impairment. Derek's expression flickered. Confusion. Then realization. Then fear. Too late. Maya's right hand shot up, broke his grip on her shirt, folded his thumb backward until she felt the joint separate. He screamed. She drove her left elbow into his solar plexus, followed with a knee to his liver, spun him into Jake, who was rushing forward. Both men tangled. She kicked Derek's knee sideways, heard the pop of ligaments tearing, kicked Jake in the groin hard enough to lift him off his feet. Lucas grabbed for her. She caught his arm, used his momentum, threw him face first into the dresser. Cartilage crunched, blood sprayed. Ryan still held his phone, still filming, frozen. She crossed the distance in 2 steps, ripped the phone from his hand, slammed her palm into his chin, snapping his head back, followed with an elbow to his temple. He dropped. The whole thing took 8 seconds. Behind her, Derek was on the floor, leg bent wrong, gasping. Jake curled in fetal position, hands between his legs, making sounds that weren't words. Lucas slumped against the dresser, blood pouring from his shattered nose. Ryan unconscious, breathing but out. Maya stood in the center of the room, heart rate barely elevated, breathing steady. She looked at Ryan's phone, still recording. She checked the screen. Live stream active. Dark web address, 47 viewers. And then she saw it, the chat room interface. Usernames scrolling. Bids coming in real time. $500, $800, $1,200. They weren't just documenting a crime, they were auctioning it. Maya's blood turned to ice, then to fire. This wasn't about humiliation anymore. This was trafficking. This was commercial exploitation. This made it federal. She turned the camera to face the room, panned across each body, then looked directly into the lens, spoke slowly, clearly. "My name is Sergeant Maya Reeves, service number 4732918. Today is December 20th, 2024. Time is 19:23 hours. These 4 men drugged me and brought me to this room with intent to sexually assault me and sell footage to online bidders. This is self-defense." She paused. Let that sink in. Every person watching this stream is now a witness. And if you paid for this, you're an accomplice. The FBI will be contacting you. The viewer count dropped from 47 to 12 in 3 seconds. Perfect. She ended the recording but left the stream evidence intact. Emma would have captured everything. Multiple copies, multiple servers, irrefutable. Derek moaned, tried to move, couldn't. She walked over, crouched beside him, her voice calm, almost conversational. "You said I'd learn. You were right. I learned that you're exactly as weak as I thought. I learned that without your friends, without your drugs, without women who can't fight back, you're nothing." His face was white with pain, tears streaming. You broke my leg." "Good," Maya stood. "Maybe you'll remember this every time you walk, every time you think about touching someone who said no." She crossed to the door, unlocked it, opened it. Downstairs, music still playing, voices still talking, none of them aware yet. She pulled out her regular phone, dialed 911. I need police and ambulance at 4247 Maple Grove Court. 4 men attempted to drug and sexually assault me. I defended myself. They're injured but alive. There's also evidence of dark web streaming and human trafficking. Send units immediately. The dispatcher started asking questions. Maya hung up. She'd give her statement when they arrived. She walked downstairs, through the living room. People stared, whispered. Someone asked if she was okay. She stopped, looked at the room. 20 faces. Some she knew, some she didn't. The men upstairs tried to rape me and sell the footage online. I stopped them. Police are coming. If anyone wants to leave before they get here, now's your chance. Half the room bolted for the door. The other half stayed, uncertain, looking at each other. Maya walked out. Down the steps, into the street. 2 blocks away, Emma's car screeched around the corner. Stopped beside her. Emma jumped out, face frantic. Are you okay? I saw everything. I called the police too. I have all the footage. The dark web stream, the bids, everything. I'm fine, Emma. Maya's voice was steady. It's over. Emma stared at her, at the complete absence of fear or trauma or anything except controlled satisfaction. You destroyed them. Yes. In the distance, sirens, getting closer. Emma grabbed Maya's shoulders. You did it. You actually did it. They filmed their own crime and you turned it into their conviction. And the trafficking evidence, that's federal. That's FBI jurisdiction. That was the plan. The first police car arrived, then another, then ambulance, officers pouring out, securing the scene, separating people for statements. An officer approached Maya. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. Of course, she was calm, cooperative. I'm the one who called. Those men in the bedroom upstairs drugged and attempted to assault me. I defended myself. There's video evidence. It was live streamed to a dark web auction site where people were bidding on footage. The officer looked skeptical, then looked at her. No marks, no tears, no hysteria. You don't look assaulted. That's because I stopped them before they could. Check my blood. You'll find Rohypnol. Check their phones. You'll find the video they recorded. Check the stream logs. You'll find the evidence of trafficking. His expression changed. He keyed his radio. Get FBI on the line. We have a potential human trafficking situation. More police arrived. Military police, base security, federal agents. The scene became chaos. Maya sat on the curb, calm, giving statement after statement. Toxicology kit administered, blood drawn, evidence collected. Emma sat beside her, laptop open, showing officers the live stream recording, the 47 viewers, the auction bids, the dark web addresses, the timestamp, the metadata proving it was real, unedited, irrefutable. At 2200 hours, they transported Maya to the base hospital. Medical examination. Photos of her knuckles, bruised from impact. Photos of her pupils, normal despite the drugs in her system. At 23:30, the detective came in. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Cross, 38, salt and pepper hair, eyes that had seen things. She sat down across from Maya, studied her for a long moment. You planned this. I prepared for self-defense. You baited them. I gave them opportunity to commit the crime they were already planning. I just made sure I'd survive it. Sarah's expression was unreadable. 4 decorated soldiers are in the hospital, 2 with broken bones, 1 with a concussion, 1 with testicular trauma. Good. You could be charged with assault. Self-defense. Sarah pulled out a tablet, turned it toward Maya. The live stream video paused on Maya's face as she spoke to the camera. 47 people watched this. By midnight, it had been downloaded and reshared 2,000 times. By morning, it'll be viral. You understand what that means? It means they can't bury it. Sarah's jaw tightened. It also means you've painted a target on your back. The Navy doesn't like scandals, even when the victim is right. I stopped being a victim 10 years ago. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Sarah spoke again, quieter. I believe you. And off the record, I'm glad you survived. But there are people above me who are going to try to make this go away. Let them try. You're not afraid. I'm terrified. Maya's voice didn't waver. But I'm more angry than afraid. And anger is useful. Sarah stood, started to leave, stopped at the door. For what it's worth, 10 years ago, something similar happened to me. I didn't fight back. I let the system handle it. She looked back. The system failed. And the man who did it is now a rear admiral. Maya met her eyes. Not anymore. Sarah's expression flickered. What? I said. Not anymore. Because after this goes public, after the investigation, after everything comes out, every case like yours is going to be reopened. And whoever protected him won't be able to protect him anymore. Sarah stared at her, processing. You didn't just fight back against 4 men. You declared war on the entire system. Maya's voice was level. Yes, I did. The holding cell at the base security office measured 8 feet by 10 feet. Concrete block walls painted institutional beige. Metal bench bolted to the floor. Fluorescent lights that never shut off. The kind of space designed to break people down through sheer monotony and isolation. Maya sat on the bench, back straight, hands folded in her lap. She'd been here for 6 hours. No charges filed yet. No lawyer present. Just administrative hold while they figured out what to do with a woman who'd hospitalized 4 men and live-streamed the justification. The door opened at 0600. Commander James Harding entered, 55 years old, 3 rows of ribbons on his chest, face like weathered granite. Old school Navy, the kind who believed in chain of command and keeping problems internal. He didn't sit, just stood there, arms crossed, looking down at her. You've created one hell of a situation, Sergeant. I defended myself, sir. You put 4 men in the hospital, 4 men who drugged me with intent to commit sexual assault and sell footage to online predators. His jaw worked. Alleged intent. Documented intent. There's video evidence. Toxicology confirms rohypnol in my system. Their phones contain recordings of previous assaults and dark web auction logs. This isn't alleged, sir. This is proven. And it's federal now. FBI has jurisdiction. Harding's eyes narrowed. You seem very sure of yourself. I am. He began pacing. Small space, 3 steps one direction, 3 steps back. The movement of a caged animal or a man trying to contain rage. Do you have any idea what this is going to do to unit cohesion? To morale? To the reputation of this base? Maya's voice stayed level, but something cold entered it. With respect, sir, I don't give a damn about any of that. What I care about is that this base has been enabling sexual predators for years, and now that's going to stop. He stopped pacing, turned to face her fully. You don't get to make that decision. I just did. The silence stretched. Harding's fists clenched, unclenched. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, more dangerous. I could have you court-martialed. Assault, conduct unbecoming, disobeying a direct order to keep this quiet. You didn't give me that order, sir, and if you had, I would have refused it. Then I'll give it now. You will not speak to the press. You will not make any further statements. You will accept medical discharge with full benefits and go away quietly. His eyes bored into hers. That's the deal. Take it or face charges. Maya stood, slowly, until she was eye level with him. No. Excuse me? I said no, sir. I won't be silent. I won't disappear. I won't make this easy for you or anyone else who enabled this. She stepped closer. I have evidence of 23 cases over 15 years, all buried, all dismissed, all protected by someone higher up the chain, and I'm going to expose every single one. Harding's face went pale. You're bluffing. Lieutenant Commander Cross gave me the files. Insurance that Rear Admiral Brennan kept. She paused. Did you know about that, sir? Did you know Brennan was running a protection racket for sexual predators? His silence was answer enough. Maya's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. You did, you knew, and you did nothing. I had no proof, no actionable intelligence. You had victims, you had reports, you had women telling you what happened, and you chose not to believe them. I chose to follow proper channels that led nowhere. She stepped back. But that ends today, because I didn't follow channels. I followed evidence, and now that evidence is public. Harding's hand moved to his belt. For a moment she thought he might actually try something physical, but he just stood there, trembling with suppressed fury. Get out of my sight. Am I being released? You're being transferred to base hospital for psychological evaluation. Mandatory 72-hour hold. She smiled, voice level. That's fine, sir. Gives the media 3 days to build the story. By the time I get out, this will be national news. She walked past him to the door. He didn't stop her. In the hallway, 2 MPs waited. They escorted her to a vehicle, drove her to the base hospital, checked her into the psychiatric ward. Room with a bed, a window with safety glass, a door that locked from the outside. Protective custody disguised as mental health care. But she didn't fight it, because she knew how this worked. They needed to control the narrative, needed to paint her as unstable, needed to give themselves time to spin the story. Let them try. The phone Emma had given her was gone, confiscated, but Emma had the footage. Emma had the evidence. And Emma, as of 6 hours ago, had uploaded everything to a secure server with instructions to auto-release to 12 news outlets if she didn't check in every 24 hours. Dead man's switch. Digital insurance. Maya lay on the hospital bed, stared at the ceiling, and waited. The first news story broke at 1400 hours. Local San Diego station, brief segment. Navy SEAL alleges assault by fellow soldiers. Dark web trafficking evidence surfaces. 4 men hospitalized. Bare bones. Factual. No analysis. By 1600, it had spread. Military Times picked it up. Then Navy Times. By 1800, AP had it. By 2000, CNN. And with each iteration, the story grew. Someone leaked the live stream footage. 47 seconds of it, the part where Maya spoke to the camera, clear-eyed and calm, naming herself and her attackers, identifying the dark web auction. That clip went viral. 2 million views in 3 hours. 5 million by midnight. Hashtags began trending. I stand with Maya. Believe survivors. Navy accountability. Shut down trafficking. The public pressure built like a tsunami, and the Navy, caught flat-footed, scrambled. Day 2 in the psychiatric ward, Maya received visitors. First was Emma, escorted by an MP, allowed 15 minutes. She sat on the edge of the visitor chair, leaned forward, whispered. It's everywhere. Every news outlet. Social media is exploding. Congress is calling for hearings. FBI opened a federal investigation into the trafficking ring. Maya kept her voice low. The files, you still have them? Backed up in 6 locations. Cloud storage, external drives, friends' computers. They can't delete them all. Good. What about the other victims? 11 have come forward so far, giving statements, corroborating the pattern. Emma's eyes were bright. You did it. You broke it open. We did it. No. Emma shook her head. You put yourself in that room. You took the risk. I just documented it. Risk is easier when you know the alternative. Maya's voice was quiet. I lived 10 years being afraid of men like Derek. I'm not living another 10. Whatever happens now, at least I fought back. The MP announced time was up. Emma stood, hesitated, then hugged Maya quickly. Fierce. Thank you. Maya didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded. After Emma left, the psychiatrist came. Dr. Rachel Kim, 42, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, credentials from Johns Hopkins. She sat down with a legal pad, pen poised. "How are you feeling today, Sergeant Reeves?" "Fine." "No trauma response? No anxiety? No nightmares?" "No." Dr. Kim studied her. "You were drugged and nearly sexually assaulted by 4 men who intended to sell footage of the assault. Most people would exhibit some psychological distress. Most people didn't spend 10 years training for exactly that scenario." The pen moved across the pad. "Tell me about that training." Maya considered. Decided honesty was less dangerous than deflection. "When I was 16, 3 men assaulted me. I froze, didn't fight back. Afterward, everyone asked why I didn't fight, like it was my fault for not being violent enough." She paused. "So I learned to be violent, joined the military, learned every way to hurt people who try to hurt me, practiced until my body would react even if my mind shut down. And Saturday night, my mind didn't shut down. I stayed present, stayed aware, and when they made their move, I was ready." Dr. Kim's pen stopped moving. "Do you feel any guilt, any regret about the injuries you inflicted?" "None. Even though one of them may never walk normally again, especially because of that. Every time Derek Kane limps, he'll remember. Every time he sees a woman, he'll think twice." She met the psychiatrist's eyes. "That's not cruelty, that's consequence." "Doctor," Kim was quiet for a long moment. Then she set down her pen. "Off the record, I believe you. Everything you did was justified. But on the record, I have to assess whether you're a danger to yourself or others. And your assessment? You're dangerous to people who try to harm you. That's not mental illness, that's survival. So I can leave?" Dr. Kim smiled faintly. "I'm recommending immediate release. But," she held up a hand, "that doesn't mean the Navy will let you go. There are people above me who want you contained. Let them try." The psychiatrist stood, gathered her notes, paused at the door. "For what it's worth, my daughter is 17. She wants to join the Navy. And because of what you did, I'm going to let her. Because now I believe the system might actually protect her." Maya felt something crack in her chest. Not breaking, softening, just slightly. "Make sure she learns to fight, just in case the system fails again." "I will." That evening, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Cross returned. She came alone, no escort, and closed the door behind her. "We need to talk." Maya sat up on the bed. "I'm listening." "Rear Admiral Brennan requested emergency leave yesterday. Medical reasons. Today the FBI picked him up at LAX, trying to board a flight to Costa Rica using a fake passport." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Running, panicking." Sarah pulled a chair close, sat down, leaned forward, elbows on knees, voice low. "I need to tell you something. And after I tell you, you can decide what to do with it. Go ahead. 10 years ago, I was a lieutenant. I reported a sexual assault by a superior officer. The investigation went nowhere. I was transferred. My career stalled." She took a breath. "The superior officer was Brennan. He was a captain then." Maya's voice was quiet. "He assaulted you and then spent the next decade covering for others doing the same thing. Poetic, isn't it?" Sarah's smile was bitter. "I kept records. Everything I could find. Every case I heard about. Every transfer that seemed punitive. Every report that disappeared. Hundreds of pages. But I couldn't do anything with them because I had no proof. No corroboration. Nothing that would survive scrutiny. Until now." Until now. Sarah pulled a flash drive from her pocket. "This is everything. My files plus the files Brennan kept. Cross-referenced, annotated, ready for prosecution. Why are you giving this to me? Because you're the catalyst. You're the one who broke the silence. If this comes from me, it's just another bitter lieutenant commander with an axe to grind. But from you, the woman who fought back and survived, it's credible. It's powerful." Maya took the flash drive, turned it over in her fingers. "If I release this, it won't just be Brennan who goes down. It'll be everyone who protected him. everyone who looked the other way. The investigation will tear through the command structure like wildfire. I know. Your career will be over too. Sarah's eyes were steady. My career has been over for 10 years. I've just been pretending otherwise. She stood. Do what you think is right. I trust you. She left before Maya could respond. Maya sat alone in the hospital room, flash drive in hand, weight of decision pressing down. This wasn't just about Derek anymore. Wasn't just about Emma or the other victims. This was about dismantling a system that had enabled predators for decades. And systems didn't dismantle themselves. They required force, pressure, someone willing to pull the pin on the grenade and hold it until detonation. She plugged the flash drive into the hospital room computer. Violation of protocol, but she didn't care anymore. Opened the files. Began reading. 247 pages. 38 cases. 16 different commands. 7 still active officers implicated in cover-ups. And at the center, Brennan. Promoted despite allegations. Protected despite evidence. Enabled despite victims. Maya pulled out the emergency cell phone she'd hidden in her sock during intake. MPS had missed it during search. Sloppy. She composed an email, attached every file from the flash drive, addressed it to the Associated Press, Military Times, Washington Post, New York Times, her senator, the House Armed Services Committee, and the Secretary of the Navy. Subject line, The Untouchable Files. Evidence of systematic cover-up of sexual assault in the U.S. Navy. Body. My name is Sergeant Maya Reeves. I am a Navy SEAL who was recently assaulted by 4 fellow service members who attempted to sell footage to a dark web trafficking network. In defending myself, I uncovered evidence of a decade-long pattern of sexual assault and institutional cover-up. Attached are files documenting 38 cases, 16 commands, and 7 officers who participated in silencing victims. This ends now. Her finger hovered over send. Once she pressed it, there was no going back. Her career was over. Her anonymity was over. She'd be the face of this scandal for years, testifying in courts-martial, sitting through depositions, reliving trauma in service of justice. But 38 other women would finally be heard, finally be believed, finally get the justice the system had denied them. She pressed send. The next week moved like an avalanche, unstoppable, destructive, cleansing. The story exploded across every major news outlet. The untouchable files became a Wikipedia entry within 6 hours. By day 2, Congress announced emergency hearings. By day 3, the Secretary of the Navy held a press conference promising full investigation and accountability. Within the week, warrants were issued. Rear Admiral Brennan was formally arrested, charged with obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and sexual assault. 7 other officers were placed on administrative leave as evidence mounted. Derek Kane, Jake Morris, Lucas Chen, and Ryan Webb faced court-martial within the month, formally charged with conspiracy to commit sexual assault, administration of controlled substances, attempted rape, and federal charges related to human trafficking and interstate commerce of illegal materials. Maya was released from the hospital on day 4. No charges filed against her. Self-defense ruling upheld. Medical discharge offer withdrawn. Instead, she was summoned to a closed-door meeting at the Pentagon. She flew to Washington on a military transport, wore her dress blues, every ribbon she'd earned over 10 years. Purple Heart from Kandahar, Navy Cross from a mission she couldn't talk about, Good Conduct medals, expert marksman badges, the uniform of someone who'd served with distinction, right up until the moment she'd chosen justice over silence. The meeting room was mahogany and flags and portraits of old white men who'd shaped naval history. Sitting at the head of the table, the Secretary of the Navy himself, flanked by JAG officers, public affairs, and a 3-star Admiral Maya didn't recognize, Sergeant Reeves. The secretary gestured to a chair. Please sit. She sat, back straight, eyes forward. You've caused quite a stir. I reported crimes and defended myself, sir. If that caused a stir, the problem isn't me. His expression flickered. Almost a smile. Almost. Agreed, which is why we're here. He slid a folder across the table. We're establishing a new position, Special Advisor to the Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Office. Navy-wide authority, direct reporting to my office, bypasses chain of command. Maya opened the folder, read quickly. Comprehensive authority to investigate, recommend policy changes, train personnel, and advocate for victims. This is unprecedented. Yes, it is. He leaned forward. We need someone who understands the system's failures from the inside. Someone victims will trust. Someone who can't be intimidated or silenced. You need a symbol. We need a leader. And if I say no, then you're free to go. Medical discharge with full benefits. Honorable. Clean record. We won't fight you. She looked at the folder again, looked at the men around the table, saw the calculation in their eyes. They needed this, needed her to be the acceptable face of reform so they could control the narrative. But she also saw opportunity, real authority, actual power to change things. I have conditions. Name them. Full access to all case files, historical and current. No redactions, no classifications I can't breach. If I'm doing this, I see everything. The secretary glanced at the JAG officer, who nodded slowly. Agreed. Second, I choose my own staff. No political appointees. No command's favorite. I want Emma Rodriguez as my deputy. Who? Private Emma Rodriguez, one of Brennan's victims. She's the one who helped me gather evidence. She deserves to be part of the solution. Another glance, another nod. Granted. Third, Maya's voice hardened. Every case in the files gets reopened. Every victim gets contacted. Every officer who participated in cover-ups gets investigated. No deals. No retirements in lieu of prosecution. Full accountability. The room went very quiet. Sergeant, the three-star admiral spoke for the first time. That could destroy careers of dozens of officers. Some of them good people who made mistakes. Good people don't cover up rape, sir, and mistakes have consequences. The admiral's jaw tightened. The secretary held up a hand. We'll review the cases. Where evidence supports prosecution, we'll prosecute. Where it supports administrative action, we'll take that action. He met her eyes. But we can't guarantee every case ends the way you want. Then we're done here. She stood. I'll take the discharge. Wait. The secretary stood too. All right, full accountability. But, he raised a finger, you work within the UCMJ legal framework. Due process. No vigilante justice. I'm not interested in vigilante justice. I'm interested in actual justice. There's a difference. Agreed. He extended his hand. Welcome to the fight, Sergeant Reeves. She shook his hand. Firm grip. Equals. When do I start? Tomorrow. She left the Pentagon at sunset. Washington, D.C. spread below her. Monuments lit against darkening sky. Somewhere in this city, laws were being written. Policies debated. Futures decided. And now she had a seat at that table. Not because they wanted her there, because she'd forced them to make space. Emma was waiting at the hotel, laptop open, files scattered across the bed, face tight with concentration. Tell me. Maya sat down, pulled off her dress shoes, rubbed her feet. We got the job. Emma's head snapped up. What? Special Advisor, Navy-wide authority. You're my deputy. We start tomorrow. 1. Emma's voice cracked. I'm just a private. I don't have the rank, the credentials. You have the experience. And the courage. That's more important. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. She wiped them away roughly. Sorry, I didn't think this would actually work. I thought we'd get buried. We almost did. Maya's voice was quiet. But sometimes all it takes is one person refusing to stay buried. Emma laughed, wet, shaky. You didn't just refuse. You exploded out of the grave and burned the whole cemetery down. Accurate. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the city hummed. Traffic, sirens, the machinery of government grinding forward. What happens now? Emma asked. Now we rebuild. New protocols, better training, actual accountability. Maya stood, walked to the window. And we make sure every woman who comes after us knows she doesn't have to be untouchable. She just has to be willing to fight. Think it'll work? I think we'll try. And if it doesn't, we'll try harder. She looked back at Emma. Until it does. 18 months later, Maya stood in front of 300 new recruits at boot camp. The sun beat down on Coronado sand. Waves crashed in the distance. Young faces looked up at her, male and female, every ethnicity and background, united by the choice to serve. She wore her uniform. The ribbons had grown. New commendations for her work with SAPRO. But she didn't talk about the ribbons. She talked about Saturday night in December 2024, about the room with 4 men, about the choice to fight back. Some of you will face situations like that. Not all of you, but some. And when you do, you need to know 3 things. She counted on her fingers. 1, the systems should protect you. We've made changes. Better reporting, independent investigations, victim advocates. But systems are made of people, and people fail. So don't rely on the system alone. 2, learn to fight. Not just physically, mentally, legally, politically. Learn every tool available, because predators count on you not knowing your options. 3, she paused. You are not alone. Every person in this uniform has a duty to stand with you, to believe you, to fight for you. And if they don't, you come to me. Because I will. A hand raised, young woman, maybe 19, nervous. Ma'am, what if we're not strong enough? What if we freeze? Maya's voice softened. Strength isn't about never freezing. I froze once, at 16. Couldn't move, couldn't fight. Spent years hating myself for it. She stepped closer. But freezing doesn't mean you deserve what happened. And it doesn't mean you can't learn to fight next time. Strength is choosing to survive, to heal, to become the person who protects others. The recruit's eyes were wet. Thank you, ma'am. After the speech, Maya walked back across the base. Afternoon sun slanting through palm trees. Her phone buzzed. Text from Sarah Cross, now a full commander, heading the investigation unit. Brennan verdict, guilty on all counts, 40 years federal prison. Maya stopped walking, stared at the message. 40 years. The man who'd assaulted Sarah a decade ago, who'd protected dozens of predators, who'd built his career on silenced victims. Justice, finally. She typed back. Good. How many cases left? Sarah's response. 12 pending, 26 closed with convictions, 7 officers discharged. Systems not perfect, but it's better. Better was progress. Progress was all they could ask for. Maya pocketed her phone, kept walking. Ahead, the obstacle course where she'd done pull-ups that morning 2 years ago. The gym where Derek had tried his first approach. The mess hall where she'd eaten alone. All the same buildings, but different now, changed by what had happened, by what she'd refused to accept. She wasn't untouchable anymore. She'd never wanted to be. She just wanted to be safe. Wanted other women to be safe. Wanted a world where strength meant character, not invulnerability. And if she had to break things to build that world, so be it. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Sergeant Reeves? This is Jessica Martinez. I'm a corporal at Norfolk. I need to report an assault. Maya's voice became steel wrapped in compassion. I'm listening. Tell me everything. And on a base 3,000 miles away, another woman found her voice. Because Maya had fought back. had refused silence, had shown that untouchable wasn't about never being touched. It was about touching back, harder. The call lasted 40 minutes. By the end, Maya had enough information for an investigation, enough details for charges, enough evidence that this woman wouldn't be dismissed or transferred or buried. She'd be heard. When the call ended, Maya stood alone in the California evening, the sun setting over the Pacific, light gilding the waves gold and crimson. She thought about the girl she'd been at 16, broken, silent, ashamed. She thought about the woman she'd become at 28, scarred but strong, loud when it mattered, unashamed. And she thought about the future, the recruits she'd train, the victims she'd advocate for, the system she'd keep pushing, keep fighting, keep reforming. It wasn't perfect, it never would be, but it was better, and better was worth bleeding for. Maya Reeves walked toward the barracks as stars emerged overhead. Tomorrow she'd fly to Norfolk, start another investigation, fight another battle. But tonight, she'd rest. Because warriors needed rest, needed to remember they were human, not just weapons. Needed to remember that surviving trauma didn't mean living in it forever. She climbed the stairs to her quarters. Small room, desk, bed, footlocker, and on the desk a photo frame Emma had given her. 38 women, all the victims from the files, all of them standing together at the courthouse after Brennan's conviction. Maya picked up the frame, studied their faces, some smiling, some solemn, all of them survivors. She set it back down, began unlacing her boots. She'd been untouchable once, built walls so high nobody could reach her. Now she'd torn them down, let people in. Emma, Sarah, the victims who became allies. And in tearing down her walls, she'd found purpose, community, proof that her pain had meaning. Tomorrow would bring new battles, new predators, new survivors. But tonight, she was just Maya, and that was enough.